DNA. It contains the genetic code and instructions on how to build and operate an organism. So, since Prior Extinction has recently announced that genetics and genealogy will be part in the game when Recode comes out, here are a few ideas I concocted up right at the top of my head and see how they would be very good additions to the game. A quick disclaimer is that these are just my ideas and some are inspired from the feedback section of the Discord channel. So none of these are official, but it will be fun to see if they get added to the game, and this is just all for fun. So aside from resilience, immunity, strength, fortitude, metabolism, and recovery, here are my takes. First up, we have salt tolerance or halo tolerance, which gives you the ability or the genetics to consume or retain salt water without any negative side effects. This will be extremely helpful if you're like a Spinosaurus that wants to live nearby the shore or any crocodilomorphs. This is perfect for players who wants to keep their dinosaur safe and away from KOSing players and with the solitude of the nearby beach. Next up is extra food volume for your stomachs, gastric capacity, which will help herbivores grow much faster and much longer. This also applies for carnivores who doesn't want to hunt as much but would still have food for days because of your larger volume of the stomach. Extra capacity for food and for water as well. Hydric capacity, a genetic code that you could use to give your dinosaur extra storage for drinking water. This would be very helpful if you are surviving in a heat wave or maybe trying to save yourself from dehydrating from the very hot summer seasons. To preserve even more food and water, I introduced metabolic efficiency. This would even reduce your food and water needs or consumption whenever you are resting or you are just inactive. And by that, I meant sleeping, resting, or just laying down, and even standing still could trigger this very cool genetic trait. Very useful for passive players and for heavy and slow-hitting dinosaurs such as herbivore apexes. Up next, we have Dermal fortitude, or skin toughness or hide toughness. This is pretty common in Path of Titans, but it would be a very cool idea to implement it in genetics here in Prior Extinction. So this would thicken or reinforce your skin, which provides better natural defense. As skin toughness will be a thing in the future in Recode, maybe this would be a very cool trait to keep in mind. This would be very helpful for dinosaurs that are susceptible to bleed and would defend yourself or your dinosaur from toxins and venom if ever they add that too. Of course, I would not be forgetting our beloved crocodilomorphs. Here is sunlight absorption. This is different from sunbasking or sunbathing because sunbathing you need to rest and press T to sunbathe under the sun. Meanwhile, this genetic trait will be quite different because whenever you are moving just under the sun and within the right temperature, you would slowly get sun well-being or sun well-being points. So now you would not need to rest around in the middle of nowhere, being exposed to other potential enemies and predators just to get some sun well-being points. But of course, to balance this out, this would only give you sun well-being points pretty slowly but gradually, but not as fast as when you are sunbathing or resting. Here is another for those crocodilomorph mains out there. Cloud light absorption. Unlike from the sunlight absorption, this has the same premise except you can gain sun well-being points whenever it is cloudy, rainy, or having foggy weather, which most of us know you cannot gain any sun well-being points. And it gets a little frustrating because if you do not have enough sun well-being until to the dead of night, you tend to move pretty slow because low sun well-being means also slower movement speed. But also to balance this out, maybe this could be an exclusive trait between the sunlight absorption and the cloud light absorption, where Croc players can only choose one of them. What we have here next is quite simple. Thermal stability. It simply just increases your playable's temperature range both in hot and cold, but this would be only proportionate to the dinosaur or playable that you are playing. So to simply put it, the feathered Rex or T-Rex alaskanensis cannot fully survive in the floodplains or in the beach because of the very hot weather. It just only prolongs your timer and tolerance to the heat, but you wouldn't be exactly able to live up in temperate or in hotter biomes. Here we have Carrion adaptation, or rot gut if you want a very cool catchy game name. This would allow carnivores such as Allosaurus, who are unable to eat rotten meat, to be now able to, without any side effects like faster hunger drain, which is kind of annoying to deal with, because this would only limit your food options. However, I do not know how diet will specifically work in Recode, as this video was made prior to anything about the diets and consuming them beforehand. Last one we have on the docket for today is keratin density. As you might have known, Therizinosaurus have that claw well-being as its 6 well-being stat. So why not give ceratopsians, theropods with sharp claws or longer arms, and stegosaurids with their tail spikes and thagomizers a sense of maintenance and care as well. This would not only give them an extra boost for having it well cleaned and groomed, because of sharper claws or sharper spikes provides more bleed damage. And this would also be a good additional for the quality of life, where we could potentially see Triceratops rubbing their horns against stripped barks and trees, Therizinosaurus doing the same, as well as Allosauruses maybe sharpening their claws within rocks or boulders. Same goes for all stegosaurids such as Kentrosaurus, Dacentrurus, and Stegosaurus in the Jurassic. This would not only improve their well-being but also their damage overall. That was just the first 10 of the genetic tricks that I would like to add for prior extinction, although some of them may need a little tweaking, but it's a very good start to propose to the devs of what we want to add. If you have any more ideas, proposals or even feedbacks about the genetic proposals that I made, feel free to brainstorm and comment down below. That's all for now. Wait for part 2. Until next time.